Okay, opposite rays. Opposite rays and angles come back to rays. What opposite rays are, they are two rays, and we will be dealing with opposite rays and angles a lot on Wednesday when we really start getting into angles. But opposite rays are two rays going in opposite directions with the same endpoint. So remember, you have to be really careful with the endpoint. So here the endpoint is A, goes through B. So that's how you notate it. Here the endpoint is N, goes through M. Even though it doesn't matter which order it's in, you still have to be careful with that endpoint. So if you have two rays going in the opposite directions with the same endpoint, when you have to draw it, I would draw them one at a time. So I'm going to draw one ray right here, and I'm going to call it AB. And there's one ray right there. But now I need to draw the second ray having the same endpoint as this one, but going in the opposite direction. What's the endpoint of this ray? A. So that means I'm going to start with A and go in the opposite direction. And that's ray AC. So I have two things going on here. I have this ray AB, this ray AC. They're opposite rays because they have the same endpoint of A, but they're going in opposite directions. This would actually be considered a straight angle. It would be 180 degrees because when you measure an angle, you go from ray to ray, and it would form a half circle here. So this would be 180 degrees. That's going to be one of the things that we really push throughout this whole entire first unit is whenever you see a straight line, that means it's opposite rays, which also means it's 180 degrees. So you're probably going to dream about that because I'm going to say that so much in your brain within the next couple of weeks. So the opposite rays here would be AB and AC. Those would be your opposite rays. From A to B, A to C. And then notice it does form a line, so you could say that this is a line as well, but we're talking about opposite rays. Last thing is an angle. I know it's a lot of notes. I'm sorry. It's never, ever going to be this much, I promise. Again, I don't know if I should promise that, but I don't think it is. I think today's the worst. So for an angle, what an angle is, an angle and opposite rays are very similar, except for an angle doesn't have to have the same, it does have the same endpoint, but it doesn't have to go in opposite directions. So an angle is two rays with the same endpoint. We will be talking about angles from now until June, and we will be notating them. We will be drawing them, writing the names of them, and hopefully that this extra work and practice at the beginning will help all of you to know how to write the names of these angles. So an angle are two rays with the same endpoint. So I'm going to draw a ray right here. This I'll call ray MN. And then I have to draw another ray with the same endpoint. That's the only rules. It doesn't have to go opposite. It doesn't have to go anywhere where it can go wherever you want. I'm just going to go kind of out a little bit. And I'm going to call that MP. And that's an angle. It's an angle because it's two rays, MN and MP, and they have the same endpoint as M. And you could measure this from ray to ray. That's how you would figure out the degree measure. If I were to bust out a protractor and stuff, you could actually figure out what the degree measure is. We're not going to do that today. But to name an angle, there are three different ways to name an angle. First way to name an angle is by using their common endpoint. What's the common endpoint that these two rays have in common? M. So here's your little angle symbol. It looks like a less than symbol, but it's not. Like this is more flat and this is kind of slanted. That's angle. And you can name it using just the endpoint if you would like. That's one way that you're going to see it named. The other ways that you're going to see it named is by using all three letters. When you name it using all three letters, you have to put the common endpoint in the middle. So like I could say or angle, I need to put M in the middle. So I'm going to say P M N. Notice I put that common endpoint in the middle. It kind of helps you with the direction. You go from P to M to N. And that is how you create your angle. What's another way that I could name this? NMP. Keeping that M in the middle. So what I'm going to have you do, everyone grab out a separate sheet of paper. This is what you're going to do your assignment on today as well. And you can do this at the top of your assignment because you're kind of going to be doing the same thing on your assignment. But I want to give you a little bit of practice with feedback before I let you loose on an assignment. I usually have a ton of examples and we walk through the examples and you try one on your own. With vocab, I don't really know how I would do that. So these are my examples. So here I want you to name or notate, I guess you could say, because that's what it says in your notes, the following. I don't want you to tell me if it's a point, line, plane, ray, angle, whatever. I actually want you to give me the name using the correct notation, using the letters and everything that are on it. You do not have to write these down if you don't want. I just want the answers if that works for you. So the first one I want you to do, I want you to give me the name for that. Just write it down. How would you actually name that? We wrote in your notes how to actually name these appropriately. Number 2 is going to be this guy. Number 3 is this guy. Here's number 4. Here's number 5. And there's number 6. So try those out. Give you a couple of seconds to try them out. And this is kind of what you're going to be doing today on your assignment. I'm going to give you a picture and you're going to have to write the name of it. And then I'm actually going to go backwards and I'm going to give you the name and I want you to draw the picture. Just drawing lots of pictures today and naming. Lots of letters. We have a couple of lefties in here. But you all feel my pain, don't you? Your hand get all dirty by the end of the day. It's the worst. Okay, what's number 1? What is this? This is a point. So to name it, you would put the word point and then the letter D. Or you could just put a D. Or just D. Any questions on that? What's number 2?
Plain A, B, and C.
Perfect. Thank you for putting them in order. Plain, you would write A, B, C. Perfect. Ooh, number 3. What's number 3? What is it? Okay, go for it.
X, Y, and the line goes to the right.
Perfect. X, Y. X is where the end point is, and then you draw the arrow over the Y. Love it. Good. I tried to trick you. You did not fall for it this time. Great job. Number 4. There are 2 ways to name number 4. What's one way? You could do it in unison if you want. Yes, ma'am.
AB.
AB with what over it?
The line.
With a line over it. Or you could switch that up. BA with a line over it. Both of those are correct. This is where it's really fun for me to grade things because you could have 2 different answers and they're both right. Number 5 is a segment. You name a segment like you name a line, except for you don't put the arrows over top of it. So it'd be CD segment, and then, or you could have DC segment. What's number 6? Go for it, bud.
It's like an angle and then D, E, and F.
Okay, so you could name it angle, D, E, F. Does someone have anything different? Yes, ma'am.
Angle FED.
Angle FED. It's always fun when they spell words. So angle fed. There's one more way. The easiest way.
Angle E.
That's what I probably would have done. Angle E. Any questions? All right. Let me pause this.